Hello everyone, this is Vinny from High Tech Legion. Today we'll be unboxing and taking a look at a new arrival from Antec. This mid-tower chassis comes to us from the team that brought us the Antec 300. It's called the Antec 302. It's a mid-tower design by Antec with features and design for both the gamer and enthusiast in mind. It has a nice front mesh finish for really good airflow. It has at the top three 5.25 ODD bays or optical drive bays. Off to the left we have two USB 3.0 ports. In the center we have our mic and headphone connections. And off to the right we have our power switch, reset switch, and data and hard drive lights. It's a tower design. It's a brand new case, brand new series, the 302, which I'm dying to unbox and take a really good look at. But before we do that, let's move around to the back, and so I can go over some of the features that this case brings with it. To start with, on the back of the box we have some really nice photos with some description on the different attributes on the chassis itself, and I know these are probably hard to see because of the very dark background as well as the dark shots within the photos themselves. So basically I'm just going to give you an overview on what's here, so that you have a good understanding of what this chassis has to offer. You know, starting with the overall size, it's 20.2 inches by 9 inches high and by 18.5 inches deep, or 513 millimeters by 229 millimeters by 471 millimeters. It has 11 drive bays, starting with the three toolless optical drives at the top, right, the 5.25 bays. It has two dedicated 2.5 bays on the inside, and along with that it has your six toolless hard drive bays. It will house your standard ATX, micro ATX, and mini ATX motherboards. The weight of the case is 15.3 pounds or 6.9 kilograms. It has 8 expansion slots at the back, and it also has the capability of fitting video cards up to 12.5 inches or 318 millimeters in length. That's the distance from the expansion slots at the back to the back of the hard drive cage. Now, the hard drive cage faces the left side door, so your hard drives will go in this direction. Let me see what else, if I miss anything. Ah, yes. This case also has the ability to house 6 fans. It comes with a 140 millimeter fan pre-installed at the top, as well as another 140 millimeter at the top and 120 millimeter at the rear. Both of those are exhaust fans, and they come with a speed switch actually, and so there's a high and low setting on that switch, which will allow you to throttle down those fans or bring them up to full speed with the flip of a switch on the outside of the case, which I thought was a really nice feature. The additional fans, it comes with those two fans installed, the 140 millimeter at the top and the 120 at the rear. You have two 120 at the front of the chassis, and you have the option of putting 120 millimeter on both the left and right side doors, One would give you ventilation over your video card, and the other one would give you ventilation over your motherboard where your CPU mounts. So those are two really nice features as well. Down here they talk about cable management. You have three spots going up the right side of the motherboard for pass-through for cables to your motherboard, and you have one large spot down here at the bottom, and that's for a bottom-mounted power supply, which this case incorporates, for the cables to pass through at the bottom and then be rerouted to the respective areas. So with that being said, let's get this thing unboxed and take a closer look at all these nice features. Hopefully you can see this okay now that it's out of its box. I'm really impressed with the look of this chassis. The Antec 302 has a really nice sleek look. I like this tower design with the pillars running up both the left and right side, and I love the semi-gloss finish on the front bezel versus the semi-gloss on the actual painted case. They go really well together. I'm really impressed with this chassis. I love the look. As you can see, I talked about the front mesh on the bezel, and the amount of airflow that it offers is exceptional. This whole section down here is open. This, by the way, is where you would install your 220mm intakes, and it's got a removable dust filter behind it for easy cleaning, washable filter, and up at the top, like I talked about, is your on-off button, right? Your reset, and your data lights off to the left of the reset right here, and your two connections for your headphone and microphone jacks, and off to the left of that in this corner we have two USB 3.0 for hooking up your peripherals. So again, I'm really impressed with the look of this and the finish on it. It's very nice. Turn it around. Off on the left side door we have that one spot that I pointed out. It's an intake for 120mm fan. Once you install that, that'll give you airflow over your video card area to help assist in keeping that cool during some extreme gaming, and it's a nice feature that they added there. Both the left and right side doors have some really nice chrome-plated thumb screws, and this one here has a locking tab to basically keep anyone out that might want to mess with your equipment, or basically, I always say, you know, keep the honest person out from making a mistake he'd be sorry for. But yeah. Oh, right here is excuse my arm. Right here is a removable dust filter that it's really nice and sturdy, easy to clean. You can wash it once it's dry. You can blow dry it or wait for it to dry. Once it's dry, just pop it back in, locks into place, becomes part of the chassis finish up. And instead of pulling out the back, having to remove move your chassis from maybe a corner under your desk, this is nice. It's easily accessible and for cleaning. I like the fact that they put it in here on the side instead of at the back, and that's to keep dust out from where you have your power supply mounted at the bottom. Let's move around to the back. Hope you can get a good look at this. It has a silver finish. It's really impressive. Nice shiny silver finish on it. Gives it that aluminum look, and I really like it a lot. I like the accent between the black and the silver. It's very attractive. Starting at the top, there are two switches for your 140 millimeter exhaust at the top, and also for the 120 millimeter here at the back. And these switches will control fan speed. They have a high and low setting. So if you're gaming, you can push these up to the high setting to get additional airflow going and help keep everything cooler. Or if you're sitting there just surfing the web, you can drop these down to the low position so they're nice and quiet. Right? Or if you're watching a movie, say, or something of that nature, you can quiet down these fans as well. I like that feature. Down here we have some really good ventilation to assist also to assist you in keeping your video cards cooler. This will be right over the area where your video card is, and help exhaust heat. There's also one here on the left side along your I/O panel port here to give you some ventilation as well, and I'll explain why when I turn the case again. But yeah, this is your I/O port. Your dust cover will go here for your motherboard, for the I/O port on the motherboard. And we have 8 expansion slots, and also your spot down here for your bottom mounted power supply. One thing I wanted to point out too on the expansion slots, hopefully you can see this with no problem. The screws for removing the dust covers on the expansion slots are on the outside versus where you normally see them on the inside. It also has a plate that you can remove that actually locks this in place. So you take out a couple of screws, remove the plate, take out your screws here to remove the dust cover. I really like that versus being on the inside, because sometimes on the inside these screws, I don't know if you've experienced it, I have, where you're trying to get in on an angle, they're a little difficult to get off or tighten down sometimes, but this makes it easily accessible and easy to remove and tighten back down again. So I like that. Okay, let's move around to the right side door. Here we have room for another 120 millimeter that you can install, and this will actually take up to 25 millimeter wide, or your standard 120 millimeter fan. Doesn't have to be a thin fan, because there's plenty of room between the door and the motherboard tray, so you'll have no issues installing a full 120 millimeter fan in here. Embossed on the side is the Antec logo and design. I like that. And let's see. Let me flip this over so you can get a good look at the top. On the top, we have the 140 millimeter, and here's something new and exciting here that I've never seen. Usually you'll have your pass-through holes grommeted holes on the back side, but in this case they've put them up at the top. These will these are about 3/4 of an inch across, so they'll take some good size hole, good size tubing. So if you're into water cooling, you can run your water cooling lines through here. And I think probably the main reason is if you set up a rad lengthwise in here, you don't have to do you don't have to put any fittings on there with right angles. It'll run right in and right out, so that's a nice feature as well. Let's move to the bottom. Excuse me. On the bottom, we have some really nice case feet. They're made of rubber, which is nice, and lately we see a lot of plastic feet here, but I like the rubber much better because you get a good grip on the floor. Keep it from sliding, and they also offer vibration dampening, so it'll deaden sound off your power supply or anything else you're running in the chassis. It helps deaden sound. Rubber feet, and they lift the case about 3/4 of an inch off the floor, so you're going to get really good airflow off the bottom for your bottom mounted power supply. There's also an area down here for a 2.5 SSD that you can install on the bottom of the case as well. And it's dimpled from the bottom, so it'll lift the SSD approximately 1/4 of an inch off the case floor, so there'll be airflow above and below the SSD as well. I hope you can see this case really well. Sometimes, you know, shooting video on a black chassis doesn't always give you a really good look, but I'm really impressed with the style and look of this chassis. This case from Antec is really nice. Okay, let's move on and take a real close look on the inside and see what they have to offer there. Okay, before we move on to the inside, I want to let you know I've already taken the liberty of taking the right side door off, okay, to save a little time, and basically just you know, a few turns on these thumb screws. They come right off very easily. Just pull the door open, and I have to say I really like this feature. You know how, I don't know if some of you have experienced it or not, but you know, trying to get the door off, there's on case doors there's those clips that you have to slide forward and unhook, and sometimes they're a little cumbersome, you know, getting them off, but in this case it just opens up like a standard door. I like that a lot, and it's held in place by this round section up here that acts like a hinge, so just, you know, you could see how easily it came off. I like that feature a lot. You know, taking a look at the inside, I'm actually very impressed with this nice high gloss silver look that's in here. It's going to accent and make whatever I put in this look really nice. You know, a lot of us lately, we see the black on black, black on the outside, black on the inside. I kind of like this look a lot because, like I said, it's going to accentuate and make whatever I put into it look, you know, stand out, look really nice. We've got a little goodie bag here. Just gonna get this cable tie off. There we go. And we've got some zip ties. We have our hard drive rails. We have our hard drive rails for toolless installation of the hard drives in the hard drive cage area right here. And well, probably a half a dozen zip ties to secure cables on the back side of the motherboard tray. Good cable management. And we have a bag of screws here that include both screws to install additional fans, all your motherboard standoffs, power supply, and screws for permanent lockdown on both your hard drive cage and your optical drive cage up here, the 5.25 bay cage, if you so choose to use them. But as you can see, these come with toolless retention. It's a little push lever that will release the drive. Really simple to install. You remove your dust cover in front and slide your optical drive in, and it'll automatically lock itself in place. And to remove it, just give it a little push here and a little push at the back, and pull it back out again. But these are done really well. Simple to use, but effective. And these hard drive rails for your hard drives, these will just simply clip into the sides of your hard drive, and you'll just slide them and they'll lock into place. And we'll look at that during the installation. We'll put a couple of these on and show you how they work. Like I said, the inside is very well done. I love the finish on it, and I can't wait to put my build on it. The spots for your motherboard standoffs are indicated here and across the bottom. This chassis will take full ATX, micro ATX, as well as ITX motherboards. And you notice we've got an extremely large cutout here, and that'll assist you after installation. If you ever want to put an aftermarket cooler on there, you don't have to remove the motherboard to do so. You can access it from the back to install any brackets or hardware that you need to mount the cooler. I like that feature too. I noticed they've made this window a lot larger than they used to, and that's going to help a lot too for the different size motherboards. You know, they'll offset the CPU area slightly, so the larger window is very important. You have some really good cable management holes running up and down this side, a real large one here, and some decent sized ones at top and bottom, and a nice large one down here at the bottom for your power supply to route them out to the back side of the motherboard. The cables for your 3.0 and for your high definition audio are really nicely sleeved. They've done a really good job on sleeving these. I'm very impressed with that. And one feature I see right now that I'm really going to love is the fact that they have a 20-pin connector on the 3.0 USB at the front of the chassis. Instead of having to run a cable through the chassis and out the back and plug it into my I/O ports on my motherboard, I can plug this right into my motherboard itself, which I really like. The motherboard connections for your power and things of that nature is a nice ribbon cable, so that'll lay flat and not impede airflow. That's very important. And basically, you have your all your standard connections here: your hard drive, LED, your power up, your reset, and power switch connections. So let's move around to the back. Now, anyone and everyone who's ever installed a system, is always very particular about cable management, especially if it's something you really want to show off. And so, good cable management is so important for that reason, as well as good cable management means good airflow. So if you have a bunch of cables stuffed in and around stuff on the other side, it doesn't look nice, and it also impedes airflow. On this particular chassis, we have a plethora of room back here to store cables. I measured this earlier, and you actually have 1 inch of space behind the motherboard tray to house any cables that you want back here. Really important. And even here at the bend of the motherboard tray here, where they've sent the window spots for cable management, you have actually 3/4 of an inch in here as well. So cable management, I have to give them an A+ here for what they've done back here. It's really great. Plus there's a lot of spots for you to tie down cables with your zip ties. And back here is also a spot for you to mount another 2.5 SSD if you like. So you have 2 dedicated areas within the chassis for SSD drives. And this one will mount on the back side of the motherboard tray. Another nice feature. One thing I did miss is the 120mm exhaust. The one at the back has your 3-pin connection for your motherboard. Right, so this will run off your motherboard. Here we go. The top 140mm has a 4-pin Molex connection. I haven't been able to locate a 3-pin connection for the motherboard on that one, so this one will power off your power supply. But keep in mind, you still have the switches at the back that'll override either or. So if you want this thing to run really quiet, or if you don't need the amount of airflow, you can switch this to the low setting. And if you're gaming, again, you can throttle it up so you get some really good airflow. Okay, so that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this part of it, and let's move on to our install.